Pension schemes are managed by boards of trustees. So one of the reasons for scheme governance is increased responsibilities on trustees under written law. Legislation has continued to change from time to time, and primarily it has sought to protect the assets of the scheme and the beneficiaries. And any change at any time has not displaced the previous requirement. The requirement for saving, the requirement for safety of the pension funds keeps on increasing as Parliament improves the law. Trustee fiduciary obligations in Kenya now, they are not expressed in a written law. In Uganda, the fiduciary obligations are expressed in a written law. In Kenya, the law applicable is common law. And the common law, as it keeps on developing, fiduciary obligations may arise or may be developed, and these would affect the trustees and the beneficiaries. The third reason for scheme governance is regulatory framework, which establishes many experts providing services to pension schemes. When the pension scheme is exposed to many people giving expert advice to the trustees, it typically requires trustees to also have a measure of understanding and capable of interpreting the expert advice given by service providers, because the final decision rests on the trustees. The other reason for pension governance is management of agency risks, and this requires to be managed effectively. It is the case then that the trustees must clearly know what each service provider is being required to do, or a person giving them expert advice is required to do, so that they are able to interrogate the advice given by the service provider. The other reason for governance is that members and sponsors' rights must be protected, and the expectations are high. For example, for the sponsor, his major interest in a pension scheme is to see that his corporate image is protected, such that people who work for a sponsor do not leave employment and suffer destitute outside there. For members of a scheme, their main inquiry is how much money they are going to earn from the pension scheme. Pension investment is getting complicated under the modern sophisticated financial and the capital markets. You can see the reason why trustees are much more involved, and they are being buttressed by service providers to be able to understand financial and the capital markets, because investments are made into those areas pursuant to trustee approval. Modern regulatory and supervisory demands are another reason why scheme governance becomes necessary. Regulators keep on looking at the pension scheme and the trustees, the funds, and the service providers. Many areas that require compliance with supervision and regulation are coming forth. Like we have seen before, that we have many regulations, particularly issued under the Retirement Benefits Act in Kenya. On top of the regulations, there are practice notes and guidelines issued by the regulator. All these require compliance. But most importantly, as an emerging issue, even in Kenya, pension funds now massively contribute to the national socio-economic development. We will need to look at how you can organize governance in a pension scheme. The scheme governance is the structure, internal controls, and the procedures put in place to ensure that the scheme is run in the most cost-effective and efficient way possible, and with full regard to the security of the scheme asset. That one sentence with all those requirements would encompass what we must look at as governance in the scheme. So governance would include structures of the governing body, which is the trustees, the legal basis, and the segregation of functions of the trustees and the service providers. It will also involve decision-making process Within the governing body, which is the trustees, this would go to internal controls, risk management, compliance, and the internal oversight structure. We have looked at this before, and they will need to keep on being referred to. The organization of governance would also include requisite skills and the competency of the board of trustees. Requisite skills are necessary because trustees engage in a number of activities that cut across various disciplines, which we have seen when we were looking at whether we can pigeonhole pension law into a certain category. And we realized we cannot, because it cuts across many disciplines. Organization of the governance is a means by which the trustees is accountable to the members who are the beneficiaries. The trustee is accountable to the employer, who is the sponsor, or other sponsors. The trustee is accountable to the supervisory agencies, and the trustee is also accountable to the government.